My name is Andy Cason of the Football Card Quest, and you're listening to the NoOffSeason.com Sports Card Content Network. Be sure to subscribe to all of our podcasts, including Sports Card Strategy, Hoops and Cards, and my show, Football Card Quest, dedicated to football cards, research, and selling tips. We're all working together to help you fund your PC and enjoy the hobby, and we live by the motto, there is no off-season.
What's going on, everybody? Paul Hickey here with NoOffSeason.com. You are consuming the Sports Card Strategy Show, brought to you by Graybo's Sports Cards. Graybo's Sports Cards is a local hobby shop owned by Gray Barnett, Ryan Fitz, and Duke Denny One-Time Dodson, and is located in the Arts District in Richmond, Virginia. Graybo sports the best selection of raw and graded singles in the Mid-Atlantic and a wide variety of wax. Graybo's breaks on Whatnot and or Drip 5 nights a week. Listeners of Sports Card Strategy can receive a 10% discount from Graybo's on Drip, Whatnot, or their website at graybos.co by entering the code STRATEGY2023. You can follow all of Graybo's news and updates on Instagram at Graybos_cards. Don't forget to go premium at NoOffSeason.com. Get your free 30-day trial today to help you build your sports card investment portfolio. We have just launched Sports Card School at NoOffSeason.com. Check it out at SportsCardSchool.com. All of the data we use on the Sports Card Strategy Show is from Market Movers. Get a free 14-day trial followed by 20% off for life by using the promo code NOOFFSEASON at marketmoversapp.com today. And now, it's time for the strategy that you've all been waiting for. Here are your hosts, Paul Hickey, Kendall, the Lefty McKee, and Dr. Crack, Chad Guell. Take it away, guys.
Good morning, everyone. How we doing? Connor Barnett here, head of content at No Offseason. No Paul this week, but I am alongside Lefty, Chad, and guest Duke Denny One-Time Dodson of Graybos. Duke, how we doing this morning, sir?
Good morning, fellas. It's the best day of the month. I get to chat with you three. I'm excited.
Happy to have you, Duke. Denny? How we doing, Lefty? How we doing, Dr. Crack?
Man, I'm good. I'm just glad that we get to see Denny one time on the intro video, holding that mic like an absolute pro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How we doing, Chad?
Doing great. Had a great weekend. Ready for the week. Love the show. Let's go.
Love it. We got a bunch of good stuff packed in for you guys today. Obviously, no Paul, but he will be making appearances throughout the video. Don't you worry. He made a way to be active for you guys today. Before we get rolling with everything, let's do a little bit of live chat love this morning. Excuse me. Good morning, Shoes. Good morning, Cleo Cards. Good morning, Shane Graham. Good morning, Derek Kunzman. Good morning, Joey Kaplan. Good morning, Projectile. Good morning, Oh My Shoes. Again, what's up, Fly Heat Cards? We got Randy Ferguson in here as well. We got a lot of good stuff today. We had a good weekend of sports, really. A lot of good NBA action, a lot of good NFL action. So I'm excited for the show from everyone today. We'll go ahead and start hopping into everyone's L's of the week. Like I mentioned, we do have some good stuff here from Paul today. So we're going to go ahead and kick it off with Paul's L of the week. Paul, take it away.
What's up, guys? Connor, Chad, Lefty, and Duke Denny One Time, and the NoOffSeason.com fam. Sorry I can't be there today. That is an L of the week. All right. But my L of the week from a card standpoint is not related to any plays that I've made recently, but rather to a bit of a blanket statement that our very own Dr. Crack Chad Guell has made as well on Hoops and Cards with Gary. They did an amazing interview with each other. That is not an L. That was definitely a W. But Dr. Crack, he made a blanket statement, and blanket statements are an L to me. So the blanket statement that Dr. Crack made was selling basketball cards in October is a mistake. It's a mistake. That's what Dr. Crack said. So I'm going to take this segment to clarify my basketball card strategy, why it's working for me. We have talked about there being a million different ways to quote unquote skin the cat. It is not a mistake to sell basketball cards in October. And here's why. I'm avoiding the risk that Chad's taking. Chad and others are taking a risk by buying players right now. And if you look at the trend line, you are going to lose if you don't pick the right players. To me, picking the right players during a season, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, hockey, whatever, that's the hardest thing to do. I like to go where they ain't. Okay. I'm going where they ain't. And so rather than doing what Chad's talking about doing right now and trying to buy the right players, which is shrinking your margin for error right now at one of the two high points to buy in historically. Now I realize this is only the last 365 days worth of data, but that's what I'm going on, people. Chad can talk about what happened pre-Paul all he wants, but to me, that's risky. That's very, very risky. I'm avoiding risk. What I did was I didn't buy basketball cards until a dip, which was June after the NBA finals, in a dip, knowing that in October, even though it's not as historically high as a March sell or a May or June, but you have to understand, if you're going to hold till May or June, now you have to be holding the right players, which I don't want to. I don't want to take that risk. I am selling during a higher point during this lead up to the tip-off of the NBA season. I liquidated all of my basketball cards before this. I have liquidated my entire basketball collection. I am no longer selling like Chad says I've been selling. I have already sold. Now I do agree with Chad that based on this data is a good buying window for basketball, but in order to profit, you have to buy the right players, which hopefully, for Chad's sake, apparently Denny Avdia is one of the right players. I would fade Avdia. I don't think either of us are wrong. I just want to clarify what I've been doing, how I've done it, how I've made money. So again, my L of the week is not related to any card L's that I've made, but rather let's avoid blanket statements and let's clarify so that the audience has the accurate information.
Man, talk about getting roasted for 5 minutes.
You know, we knew we were going to get some feedback from Paul from last week's show. For those of you that weren't able to catch last week's show, Chad gave some insight to different strategies, and it just kind of went to show different strokes for different folks, right? So I think Paul did do a good job of alluding to the fact that both strategies can work there. So good stuff from Paul in terms of providing that L of the week for us. Let's go ahead and start with Lefty. Lefty, let's get your L. Then we're going to cycle to Chad, get his feedback from Paul, and then I think head over to Duke. I don't know that Duke has lost much lately, but we'll get his W of the week as well.
My L of the week is, let me just start with a question. Guys, do you think people can ever recover from making bad on-field decisions, or is that just who they are?
Context. What's the reference point?
Just in general, do you feel like people and athletes can start making better decisions later in their career, or are they just always like bad decision makers?
I've actually had this exact argument with one of my friends, and my friend took the argument that that you can't, that you're either good at it or you're not good at it. I certainly think people are prone to one or the other. Some are naturally born with it. Somebody like a Joe Burrow, ice water in his veins. People would argue that he's born with that, and that's probably true. I do think if you're talking about like rookie quarterbacks, for example, the speed of the game can cause you to panic and make bad decisions, and I think you can get better. Not everyone can, but some people can.
Well, let me
go ahead. I'm sorry, Lefty.
Well, let me eventually get where I'm going to. Guys, when I watch this Jets offense, holy moly. I mean, what's going on in the quarterback position, fellas? It's just bad decision after bad decision for Zach Wilson. The problem is when I watch him, if you watch him for 80% of the game, you're like, wow, there's an athlete in there. And like he's diving around, he's doing the sideways thrown similar to Mahomes. The jump throw he had in the final drive was electric. And then he ends up making a bad decision. And so like I think an L of the week for me is like I think there's a good quarterback in there and he just can't make it happen, fellas. And I think that's just an L of the week, I think, for the hobby, not necessarily for me, but I think Zach Wilson had the potential to be a hobby darling. People loved it. People loved Zach Wilson going on. And then the Cougar Town stuff was just hilarious. But he just can't make the good decisions, guys. Like I thought, like, wow, he might win this game against the Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders. And then give credit to that linebacker, one of the best picks I've ever seen. But anyway, my other L of the week is last Friday we were really looking forward to some Bronny James health updates, and there wasn't clear updates. There was just some things that said he's progressing, and at the end of the month there would be more details. I'm fine with that. I just was hoping for some updates related to is he going to play or is he not? Because if he's not, then I don't think I want to ever talk about him again on the show. But if he's going to play, then we've got a card darling on our hands, as I like to say.
Yeah, Lefty, before we head over to, or Chad, before you get into your L here, I'm curious to see what you have thoughts-wise in regards to Zach Wilson and the ability for guys to progress once they get into the league in terms of kind of slowing the game down and making more mature decisions on the field.
Well, I think it's it's absolutely a progression. I think that there's no substitution for playing time. The more you play, the more reps you get, the better you're going to get. I think the best thing for Zach Wilson's career was Aaron Rodgers' Achilles and the fact that the Jets are sticking with him. You can't substitute live training, and that's essentially what he's doing is he's training and applying for a job in the future. He's making mistakes. He's not the most intelligent quarterback out there, but to Lefty's point, he's an athletic quarterback. He's gifted with all of the physical skills to play the position. And to Lefty's point, can people change? Yes. Will Zach Wilson? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, good feedback there, Chad. I think it definitely differs sport to sport, right? Like for me, I think NBA guys can definitely progress and have a larger range of progression available because of how much the game will slow down for them as the season goes on. I think for quarterbacks, we kind of see it's almost like an inherent intangible, right? We kind of see what they're going to look like from the rip. And obviously they have space to get better, but I think as a quarterback in the NFL, it's almost one of those things, Lefty, in my opinion, that you either got it or you don't. It's kind of that killer instinct and ability to go win football games. So that's just my 2 cents on it. Chad, what's your L of the week, sir?
My L of the week is Pokemon. So we have this show to help everybody out with sports cards. I could use a sports card strategy show for Pokemon. I don't know very much about it, but I help a lot of local area guys in cards send cards in for grading, pre-clean them, send them in, get them graded, give them back for a small fee. And one of the local guys, has been having me do a bunch of Pokemon cards, and he's been just slaying it with the Pokemon cards he got back. And I thought, you know what? My son, my oldest, Harley John, 17 years old, has a bunch of Pokemon cards from when he was 5 or 6 years old. I'm going to dig through and find some and send them in. So I sent in 5 of the bigger names like a Charizard, a Blastoise, Pikachu, that kind of stuff. Hollows, I knew to send in the hollows, not the base. Cleaned them just like I did for my buddy. He's been getting tons of 10s. He tells me how hard it is to not get a 10 in Pokemon because the cards are they wear weather because they're trading cards. People are supposed to be using them. And I got all 8s and 9s. And after I got them back and I did some research, not a damn one of them is worth the price of grading. So that's my L of the week. The School of Hard Knocks, learning to stay away from Pokemon cards because I don't know what I'm doing. However, my son is stoked to have a bunch of Pokemon cards that are graded now. So it turned out to be a W for my 7-year-old Xavier, and an L for Dr. Crack.
I never thought a W of the week for me would be you listening to you say Pokemon names. Charizard. That's so good.
Yeah, and there's always W's. There's always small W's within those L's.
You got to take your wins, man.
Yeah, got to take them where you can get them. Happy you were able to find the bright side and things there, Chad. We'll go ahead and head over to Duke. Duke, we're happy to have you here this morning. It looks like you don't have a lot of losses going on lately, which we love to hear. So we can go ahead and hop into your W of the week. Feel free to let it rip, Duke.
Sure. I snuck in a L at the last second. I just thought of one. So we picked up a big Luka card in a trade in the summer at Burbank, towards the end of the summer. And as soon as I get a big card, we call it the fund. My friends that we pull our money together to get bigger cards. And whenever we get a big card in the fund, we're always excited about it at first. And then your next thought is, when am I ever going to get out of this card? You start to panic, like, no one's ever going to buy this card. Like, I'm never going to cash out of it. So that being said, the Dallas show was recently. We sent 2 of our guys out there. So I said, take this Luka with you because you'll be in Dallas. Luka started the season hot, had a couple, 40-point games. It's like, what's a better time than to sell Luka on a heater in Dallas? And so he took the card there. And long story short, was working a big trade with a guy. He found this dealer from Dallas, liked Luka. This guy had a lot of good stuff. And so I'm texting from Virginia to my guy in Dallas, and we were going back and forth. And we could never get the guy to get to our value on the Luka, so we did not trade it. And so that's a bummer. But we'll hold it, and let's hope that they make a playoff run. We'll see. We'll see if Kyrie messes it up for them this year or not. But the W, I'm very excited. It doesn't look like much now, but we just moved Friday into our new office. You can probably tell it's a little echoey. We haven't figured out the acoustics in this room yet, and there's no art on the wall or anything. We literally just moved in, but our new office is right next door to where Graybo's is going to be. So right now, Graybo's is a very tiny pop-up shop. Paul's been to it about 500 square feet, but we're moving into a much bigger location next door. It's going to be half of it will be a sports bar, and half of it will be a card shop, and it's right next to my office. My day job is, real estate development. So we'll all be in one location, and I'm very, very excited about that. Next time we do this, actually we'll walk. I'm not sure if the internet's going to work over there, so I don't want to get disconnected, but I will happily show you guys and kind of walk you through the future Graybos next time we get on the call.
That's so cool, man.
I'm excited. I'm very excited.
I definitely got to make it out there to Graybo's. That is freaking sick.
I'm definitely going to get you guys out for the grand opening. March 1 is the grand, hopefully around the date, definitely by March Madness. So I would love to get all you guys out here for that.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, congrats on the move, Duke. We're definitely going to need that virtual tour before we could head out and see you. Don't want to wait that long to see what you got going on over there. To get to your L of the week in regards to the Luka Doncic card, you mentioned a deep playoff push. I'm curious if there's anything else prior to them that you would look for as a sell marker. Just because, I was thinking about how well he plays against the Clippers and the upside to just and the next time he plays the Clippers, having an auction ready to end as soon as that game's starting. Because, he was 16-19 halfway through the third with 42 points, 6 boards, and 6 assists, just tearing him up. Unfortunately, he was pulled for the rest of the game, so we couldn't see what that ludicrous stat line looked like. But I'm curious if you have any markers that you'd be willing to try and get that card moved before playoff time comes.
That's a good question. And honestly, Luka was not somebody I was necessarily targeting this summer. He's very volatile. I don't believe in Kyrie. I've always believed in Kyrie finding a way to mess it up. So I wasn't necessarily looking to get into him, but it was as he was part of a big trade this summer, or I was getting some other stuff, and we got the Luka at a good value. And I thought we got him in the dead of the offseason. There wasn't a lot of hype around him at the time. So I think we got it for, I think, a good price. And so other than a good playoff run, maybe a late season surge. If they're right now they're in first or second place, and they've been that way since the season started. If that continues in the second half of the year, I think there'll be some opportunities. Some folks that are trying to buy in pre-playoff. So we'll just be ready, to try to list it. And he's still relatively young, so I don't mind holding it a couple years if need be. But would love to find a way this year to get out of it.
I love it. I got a lot of faith in Luka's career moving forward. And you mentioned Kyrie, not believing in Kyrie. I've been in the same book. He's got the James Harden effect, right? But I do feel like since he got to Dallas, things do seem to have softened up a little bit for him in terms of the drama. And he seems to be kind of finding a groove for his spot on that team. So I'm excited to see what Dallas does moving forward. I also, Chad, I want to get your opinion on the Luka and Maverick situation and where Luka sits in your card buying scale at the moment.
I think that the Mavericks so far this year have been the surprise team of the NBA. And I think that I'm going to give credit not to Luka, but to his rookie teammate, Lively. Lively has given an inside presence that they've been missing for a long, long time. And now that they have an inside-out game and a guy to rebound the ball and do all the intangibles, kind of like a Rodman did years ago for the Bulls, I think if Kyrie can keep his head screwed on straight, the Dallas Mavericks are a very, very dangerous team this year.
Yep, same page. I love me some Lively. Good old Duke boy there. I think he's played less than 25-ish minutes a game, and he's averaging close to 10 points and close to 7 rebounds in those 25 minutes. So he's definitely been a factor. Good rim protector guy, high energy motor guy. So I like the Mavs there. What's your W of the week this week, Chad?
Well, I've got a couple of W's of the week this week. Just like last week where I talked about my Jalen Hurts play, I just finished off selling my last Joe Burrow from an early June, I think it was June article where I talked about Joe Burrow Concourse, Select Concourse Silver. I bought 20 of them. Fortunately, all 20 of them were gradable. I got 2 different guys that sold me 10 card lots, and the cards all were very, very nice. I sent them in, and I got 1 8, and then I got 7 9s and 12 10s. I had an average cost with shipping and tax of $26.25 each. I had $380 in grading costs and then $30 to ship to and from PSA for a total of $60. So the total investment was $965 or an average of $48.25 per card. The average I netted after fees, I netted $23.75 for the PSA 8. I averaged $36.12 on the PSA 9s. So if you're noticing a trend here, all 8 cards there lost me money. But with these bulk plays, it's all about the 10s, not about the other cards that you get. The 12 PSA 10s, I netted $128.72 a piece on them for a total net of $1821.23 minus your $965. I had a net profit of $856.23 for buying 20 cards, sending them in and getting them graded, and that was from June. So I thought about this for the I don't know if this would qualify for Lefty's Wednesday $1,000 challenge or not, but for a $965 investment to net $1,800 to double my money in basically 5 months, I thought I was real happy with that.
Yeah, that's a W.
Another win was I sent in 10 of the Panini Instant Wembanyamas to SGC, trying to be the first to the market with graded cards. The other 15 went off to PSA. You heard my rant about how I didn't think the cards were in very good shape, and I did it thinking that I was going to get a bunch of 6, 7s, and 8s, and I was going to email Panini back and tell them what awful people they were. That went sideways when SGC gave me 4 9.5s and 6 10s. So I was happy, very happy with that. The 100 cards or the 25 cards were $100 or $4 each, plus $15 grading at SGC plus the shipping. So I was in those 10 cards with shipping and everything for $235. I've sold 3 of the SGC 9.5 so far on Buy It Nows for a total of $170, which after taxes and fees netted $146.20. I've sold 4 of the SGC 10 so far for a total of $630, which was $541.80 net after fees. So on 7 sales, that's $688 or a $453 net profit. And I still have 195 and 110 on 7-day auctions, which end tonight around 10 p.m. Eastern. Those are not doing nearly as well as the Buy It Now. So if I could have another L, it would be doing auctions instead of the Buy It Nows, which I know are much better. So I'm going to take a little bit of a loss on those compared to the Buy It Nows. However, I get to keep one SGC 10 in my PC for free, which is what I like to do when I do this. And I've netted $453, and the 2 that end tonight, whatever they bring, are pure profit. So that turned out to be a very good play for me as well. Wishing I would have sent all 25 to SGC instead of PSA, but maybe I'll change my mind when the PSAs come back and I make even more money. But this play here now, I've made enough money on these 10 cards that all of my cards and my grading fees at PSA are 100% paid for. So when I get the cards back from PSA now, I have $0 a piece in those 15 cards. So whatever they get will end up being my total profit on the Wembanyama play.
So they will likely sell for more than $15. You'll be fine.
Yeah, guys, Chad stays winning. And obviously he's going to tell you what his moves are during our Monday shows. We've got deep dives with Chad every other Wednesday. The first one will be this Wednesday, by the way, at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. But Chad stays winning. So if you're interested in following some of the plays that he's making, head over to nooffseason.com and find Dr. Crack's Corner. We've got 7 articles uploaded so far from our top baseball prospect list, where Chad breaks down the exact plays that you can make, maybe what you should and shouldn't do, and the most opportunistic plays based on the variant of the card. So good stuff there, Chad. We love to see you winning, my friend. Let's go ahead and head over to Lefty. Lefty, what was your W of the week, sir?
Yeah, I had a couple of W's of the week. I'll start by sharing my screen here and showing what I was able to get into last night. I went Yamamoto hunting last night. I was able to a buddy of mine was able to find 11 Topps Chrome packs at Walgreens of NPB cards at 2021. So this is just a wild find that you can find this kind of stuff at Walgreens. But this is the packs that the Topps Chrome Yamamoto comes out of. That is just hitting a wild variable of price right now. And he's not even technically being bid on yet. So Yamamoto is going to be one of the top free agents coming over in Japan this offseason. He is a pitcher, but he's a guy that I am investing in. So we ripped these 11 Chrome packs, hoping to find some Yamamotos. We're able, mine were the bottom 5, his were the top 6. We opened his first, absolutely 0 Yamamotos in those, unfortunately. But in my 5, I was able to pull a Chrome Yamamoto out of there. That's a card that's going for a lot right now, but it probably will go for a lot more in the future. So I'm excited to pull my first official, my first pull of a Yamamoto card, which is pretty exciting. So W of the week for me would be just getting that availability and finding that in a Walgreens of all places, and then being able to pull a Yamamoto Chrome. That will be a card that the play on this will be, I will just probably ship this off to PSA because I am not very much interested in the short term. I am interested in the short term, sorry, but I am more interested in the long term of Yamamoto. I think he's going to be a long play. So this is a card I definitely can afford to have a little bit of investment on, even if I miss a potential first surge of a selling window. But this MPB Chrome 2021 Yamamoto card is going to go in a bulk submission for me. I also have a win of the week, a small win of the week. There Colorado team packs that Chad and I bought have been shipped. So the team packs coming out, and they'll have more Shedeur Sanders cards in them. Unfortunately, it's kind of an L. The Colorado's team has just been cheeks this year. Probably is going to have to really ball out the last 2 games of the year to even get in a bowl game. Really underperformed, especially how hot they came out of the gate. I put a $10 future on Shedeur winning the Heisman, and that did not go well. So basically donated $10 to Vegas just for Colorado being me being a fangirl. And then my last win of the week is Maxey hitting 50 last night. Like, this is, I mean, we've been talking about him for a year or two. We are all big fans of Tyrese Maxey. I have some big cards of his. I know Chad has some big cards of his. I know that Paul got out of most of his Maxies, but still, like, there's a guy that we love investing in. And I think the win of the week is he could be a buy, he could be a hold, and he could be a sell, depending on your strategy. Like, this is a cool scenario. I know Paul would immediately disagree with us right here, considering his rant earlier on not buying NBA cards right now. But I think Tyrese Maxey I think his best days are ahead of us still. I don't think that this is a rarity. I think this is going to be something that he still continues to do. He's gotten freedom in this offense, and he is I don't know. Like, I think I'd rather have the ball in his hands personally than Embiid. So, and that's saying a lot, from a guy that's won an MVP. So,
yeah, good stuff, Lefty. A lot to unpack there. I'm going to do it one step at a time. So, congrats on Yamamoto. I know this is a play you've been preaching, the Roki and Yamamoto, both of them you've been preaching for a couple months now, doing the research, finding those guys that have high upside for when they try to make the jump over here. So, congratulations on pulling that card. I was happy for you last night to see that happen. I want to touch on Colorado real quick. A lot of y'all made that Shedeur play, and you made good profits of it. And I think that it's a testament to both our sell alerts and our low risk tolerance that you guys got them moved so fast and were able to lock in those profits because of what we've seen the rest of the year, right? So I think there's definitely, that shows the upside of not being willing to take on that extended risk by getting them sold as fast as you can. And keep in mind, guys, we do have those sell alerts. So text sports cards to 1-833-992-5727. And that kind of ties into the last spot. We were talking last night for a brief moment, and I think Chad gave a real good response to it in regards to what to do with Tyrese Maxey after that 50 bomb. So, Chad, why don't you break down what you think the options are with Tyrese Maxey right now? And then I'd like to hear Duke's opinion on Maxey.
Yeah, sure. So when you asked that last night, my response was, as Lefty alluded to, he could be a buy, sell, or hold. And what I mean by that is, if you were like Paul and you bought in the off season when Maxey dipped to as low as prices, you could be looking at some pretty serious profits right now. And if that is you, and we are in the flipping game, guys, don't make any mistakes about it. We're flipping. If there's profit to be had and you want to cash in on it, then do so. That makes Maxey a sell at this point. If you bought in either at the low point or somewhere on the upswing and there's profit to be had, but you think that there's more profit to be had with the year he's going to have, then he could be a hold. Kids, bye. Love you. Have a good day. Say hi to everybody. You're alive. All right.
What's up,
Xavier,
homie?
all right. Heading off to school. If you are like myself, and you believe that Maxey is going to ball out this year and make a lot of noise, be an all-star, put up these 50-point nights, somewhat consistently, he could be a buy as well, because his cards, when you compare them to some other superstars, are not anywhere near the levels where they could be. So I think that Maxey is a potential buy right now. Lefty was showing me a Maxey Auto Contenders last night that was a 1010 that sold for like $420. That's cheap for an on-card rookie ticket auto 1010 PSA. That should be an $800 to $1,000 card. So somebody bought that card, they're probably going to hold it and flip it, maybe around the All-Star break, which is one of the good selling points of the year for basketball. So he could be any one of the three.
Love it, Chad. Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of sell marker opportunities through Maxey, right? Like, first of all, he looks like the clear-cut candidate at the moment for most improved player of the year. As at the moment, looks like he's going to get his first all-star shot if he keeps performing how he is. So those are two clear markers at different time periods to try to invest in there. So, Duke, I'm curious where you're at in terms of buying Maxey right now, and what your thoughts are for his long-term upside.
Yeah,
short and long. Sorry,
he's very interesting because the Sixers are in first place, and they can beat the better teams. Like, you heard me talk about, like, the Dolphins. What I call this fool's gold is the Dolphins in the NFL been in first, but whenever they play a good team, they lose. So I can't picture them making a significant playoff run. I could be wrong about the Dolphins. I'm just saying that's how I view the Dolphins in the NFL and the NBA. If the Sixers are in first place and they just beat the Celtics, they took the Celtics to 7 games before Harden's out of there. So can they make a serious playoff run? Yes. The other interesting part about him is, he was viewed as this number 2 or number 3, this young upstart, and that's cool in the card hobby. But when you can be possibly viewed as best player on the team, he's got Embiid there. So Embiid's kind of the alpha male. It has been, but can Maxey continue to do this? And putting up 50, can he be viewed as 1A, 1B with Embiid on a serious contender? I think that certainly would make me more interested in buying him. I bought him in the past, and I haven't done as well, even though the Sixers have done okay and he's done okay. Some of that is just the market, and some of that's because they lost. But I'm kind of reinvigorated with him compared to Darius Garland, somebody that we've all talked about on this show before. Still like Darius Garland, but Maxey is so much closer to an NBA championship series playoff run. I'll always say too, when somebody crosses over from being somebody that we talk about to somebody that, like, my wife knows, mainstream America knows, that's when the athlete gets very valuable. My wife still doesn't know who Tyrese Maxey is. She probably knows who Embiid is, if that means anything to you. So, like, if we can get my wife to know who Maxey is, then that's the sell marker right there.
That's the sell marker. Is Duke Denny one-time Dodson's wife. I love it. And for those of you that are living under a rock, Maxey has been, to reiterate on what Duke's saying in regards to him being like the guy in Philly, him and Embiid right now are almost giving me like flashbacks of Kobe and Shaq in terms of usage splittage throughout the games. Yeah. So Embiid's been just as dominant as he was last year in his MVP season. Maxey's averaging almost 29 points a game, shooting 50% from the field, 43% from 3, averaging 5 rebounds a game, and still adding 7 assists a game while averaging a steal and a block per game. So it's not like we're really jumping the gun here in terms of trying to say that he is 1B to Embiid over there. And I think it's a lot easier to separate those when it's not 2 guards trying to split that usage. It looks more like a clear-cut picture when you have that number 1 guard and that number 1 center rather than 1A and 1B wing guys like it looks like in Boston, kind of with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum there. So I think that's good feedback there, Duke. We'll go ahead and hop into this audience the audience W's and L's of the week. And then we'll head over to who Paul is buying and go ahead and snake our way around there and get everyone's feedback. Let's start off with Shane Graham. Somewhat L of the week is his Wemby SGC 10 sold last night for about half of what they were going for less than a week ago. I see Chad sold an SGC 10 last week for $160, and his only went for $81. But Chad, I'm not sure if you sold that when Wemby went for like 38 or something like that. But if you did, it was nice timing. So kudos to you there. Joe Gnomes, my L this week is all of eBay sellers that refuse to take cars out of top loaders and penny sleeves. Scratches all over the stuff. Take the extra 15 seconds to take decent pictures. Derek Kunzman, W, Lefty and Connor's Wednesday show last week. Derek, we appreciate it. I had a ton of fun doing that show with Lefty. I'm excited for this Wednesday, as well as Chad's show Wednesday. So we got a lot of good stuff coming out in about 48 hours or so. Craig's Cards 11, L, not seeing any discount in Bowman Prospect autos in offseason. Then Projectile Dysfunction, W of the year for me. Cracked an SGC 9 1988 Bo Jackson rookie. Got hit with the PSA upcharge because it got a 10. Congrats to Projectile Dysfunction for the value growth there. So good stuff. Good stuff. Let's go ahead and hop into who to buy this week. We're going to start off with Paul's video. And like I said, snake our way around. So Paul, who are you buying this week?
All right. Thanks, Connor. So I like to go where they ain't. And my buys of the week that I'm going to advise the entire audience to look into is Shohei Ohtani 2018 Topps Chrome rookie cards. There are two that I've picked out that I'm going to walk you through right now. One of them is the 2018 Topps Chrome 83 TA 1983. It's a variation. And I don't know that it's a short print, but it is a variation. So that means that it could hold slightly more interest than the base card. It does go for a little bit more money than the base card right now. But I am going to break down the data here for that card. So here it is right here, 2018 Topps Chrome 83 TA. If you look at the last 90 days, that card is down 61.5%. So people who bought it in August paid $630 for that card. People who are buying it now, and I just bought one for $200. So I just bought one for $43 lower than the lowest logged sale here on Market Movers. So this card sold last week for $243. I bought it. I'm recording this video on Thursday, November 9th. I know today you're watching it on Monday, November 13th, but I bought it. So let's say I bought it last Thursday for $200. So I'm looking at a card that should go from $200 safely. If we go to 365-day view now, you're looking at the beginning of an MLB season. Just at the beginning of an MLB season, this card goes for around $350 consistently, like multiple sales. You're looking at during potential performance spikes, of which Shohei has had many. This could be a $600 card. Now we also have the marker coming up in the offseason at some point that we haven't ever had for Shohei, and that is going to be what Chad mentioned on last week's show, which is the biggest contract anyone's ever signed in MLB history. That will be happening. And when that happens, I highly anticipate that this card goes for $300 or above. So I have multiple selling markers. I could sell it when there's the news of his contract. I could wait until the beginning of the baseball season, or I could wait, really roll the dice for some kind of performance spikes during the 2024 season. Those would be hitting, obviously. We've also talked about him potentially coming back to pitch in 2025. So if I really wanted to hold this long term, which I don't think I will, I think the play is I'm likely going to sell it before the season starts, either of the hype rise of the MLB season or the hype rise of the contract. But either way, this is a no-brainer buy, especially if you can get it for as low as $200 like I did. But even at $250, you should see profit margin on this card. The other card that I wanted to walk you through is the just the base 2018 Topps Chrome PSA 10 pitching. So its card number is 150. It essentially follows the exact same line that we're looking at. So in the last 90 days, it's down 54.5%. You can get this card right now for less than $150. There's a lot of auctions. This is a pop count of 10,324. So while the other one only has a pop count of 1555, this has 10,324 pop count. This means you can go get this card right now, and you should be able to get it for less than $150 in eBay auctions. So this means that when we look at the 365-day chart, you'll have the same selling markers. You'll have a rise at the start of the baseball season, which should help you sell it for around $200. You'll have performance spikes. This card got as high as $365 in late July. Now, what's the likelihood of this card going up to 365 again? Well, he'd have to be pitching and hitting at the same time like he was in 2023. He'd have to be dominating pitching and hitting. So I don't think it's likely that this card would get near $350, $365 in 2024. I think it's possible that it would get there in 2025, but highly unlikely. I think that the play for this card is a simple, what I just articulated with my basketball plays. This would be the version of it now, which is why it's in my buy segment. It's just a simple buy a few copies of this card now, spend about $400 buying a few copies of this card now, and then sell either upon the news of the contract or the hype rise of the start of the baseball season when he starts playing again in his new team's uniform. And look, guys, I'm avoiding risk. I've got high floor, high ceiling at the same time. This is another one. You're welcome. Connor, back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I think all of us are pretty big on the Shohei play right now. And Paul, when you're listening back through this, you're probably yelling in your head because I haven't played your W of the week. I didn't really give the boys time to respond to your quick discussion of your wins through your basketball sells in terms of timing for this season. So I am going to give the boys time to rebuttal to that, and I'm going to play your W of the week as we get closer to the Q&A to give Chad a chance to kind of defend himself there and get a good debate going there. But let's go ahead and roll into Lefty's buys of the week. Lefty, who you buying?
Yeah, I think as I look at this college basketball season starting to get rolling, I think we're still seeing some stuff that's not quite valued where it should be. So I am still interested in buying Caitlin Clark cards. I think we've seen enough of a downturn in terms of her autos, her Inception autos, or her Bowman Best or her Bowman U cards coming down from the hype spike that we saw when they originally got released. So I'm willing to go back out. Iowa being number 3 in the top 25 Associated Press, but also LSU losing early. I could see Iowa being number 1 or number 2 most of this season, and it's going to be a 3-headed monster going into the tournament with some players and some teams that are highly marketed, which is not common in women's basketball. And so I could see this year being a unique setting for the March Madness tournament for the girls because there's quite a lot of high-profile players that are going through the tournament this year. So I know people are saying invest in girls basketball, but that's just a fallacy. These girls are true athletes, true stars. Caitlin Clark is an absolute stud, and that Iowa team is incredible. So I'm still willing to go in on Caitlin Clark because there's a lot of projectable markers that we will see this year, and potentially number 1 pick in the NBA or in the WNBA draft as well. I am also SGA, guys. I don't know why, but look at this chart. This PSA 10 SGA from the last 30 days, he's down 44.4% on a PSA 10 pop count, 4,012. Like this guy, he's currently locking. This card is selling for $63. Like why? He's like game after game putting up 40 points. I just don't understand why a SGA 2018 PSA 10 is selling for down 44%. And if you can find deals on this guy, he's electric. We talked about him on Wednesday's show. Connor and I both said that we believe in SGA as a dominant guard in this league. And if he's down 44% and 50%, like down 50% or down $50 in the price change, like, I just don't understand it. Like, why are these people not believing in SGA? This Thunder team is definitely playing, punching above their weight, and will continue to do that. It's got great coaching, great athletes, a lot of team synergy. And I think SGA is going to continue to carry them further than he did last year, which was in the play-in tournament. I believe this team gets a true playoff spot this year. And I think SGA will have a much more increased volume of sales towards the end of this season.
I love it. Yeah, and for those of you listening right now, Lefty was referring to a 2018 Prism base of that SGA card, which is just unbelievably affordable for a contender for the scoring title. It seems like again this year he will be. So it's an affordable option, and it's so discounted. It looks like it might be a good bulk play for people interested in making those bulk flips. So I love the picks there. Chad, who are you buying this week, sir?
Well, I love Lefty's pick of SGA and Caitlin Clark. Those are two that I can certainly endorse. To answer Lefty's question, how that card is down so much. Most basketball cards, I'm not going to use a blanket statement, Paul. Most basketball cards right now are down, and they will continue to fall typically until early to mid-December, at which time you will start to see them turn the corner as we get to the new year. That's what I've been referring to the last few weeks in terms of basketball cards. So my buys are, I have one hockey play. I am buying on Alexander Ovechkin. His cards still have not spiked. They continue to fall even cheaper than what they were in the summer.
What card are you buying?
I am looking to buy his Young Guns PSA 10.
Wow.
That card, I just missed out on an auction last night. Actually, early this morning at 1 a.m. I was disappointed somebody else was up that early. I missed out. I sniped it for $4,000 and it went for a little bit over $4,000. I believe that card is a $7,000 to $8,000 card when he hits his breaks Gretzky's record, which I understand is a year and a half away, maybe 2 years away. So it's a longer term investment, but when you are going to tie up that kind of money and you can potentially double it, I just think Ovechkin's a great play right now. From football standpoint, I bought 2 Justin Jefferson PSA 10s over the weekend. He is nearing his return from his injury, and his cards in the last 14 days, most of his cards are down anywhere from 8% to as much as 35%. And with Dobbs balling out, Justin Jefferson should be relevant. And then on the basketball side of things, I am buying Giannis, Tatum, and Jaylen Brown cards. All of them are down collectively anywhere from 10 to Giannis. Some of Giannis cards are down 35, 40% in the last 30 days. The reason 30 days is significant is it's just before the beginning of the NBA season with the hype that Paul is talking about. They did get a little bit of a hype there, but since that point, they're down significantly. So I'm looking at buying those. And then Jackson Holiday autos, they had the Jackson Holiday Bowman Chrome auto, the base card. I was able to get 2 of them when they bottomed out at around 400. I got one at 415 and one at 400. And I was going to have a 10 or, I was going to spend some significant money and buy more at that $400 play because I thought, man, that's free money sitting there. And since then, I have the cheapest one. I sniped 2 of them last night. that one sold for $475 and one was $481. I'm not spending that, but if I could get a couple more at $450 or less, I would get them. If not, I'll probably hold pat at the 2 that I have. But I am actually looking right now at SGC, CGC, and BGS autos because I have a sneaking suspicion come the holidays, you might be able to get one of those in a 859 grade much cheaper than you could a actual raw auto. So those are the plays I'm looking for. And we have not seen that dip in the off season for baseball yet, but it's coming.
Yeah, Crack. It is coming for whoever said L of the week not being able to find discounts. I have been able to find some discounts, but we're not into the true buying season of baseball yet. But what I will say on the holiday is I saw a $450 sale yesterday of a card that said obvious defects with great pictures of why it was not going to gem. That's a great sign for his market, I think. When you see a card that's under or over what we paid, Crack, a month ago, we both bought them cheaper than that, and Paul bought one too for the card with a horrendous scratch on it. That's great news for us.
Awesome.
Good stuff there, Chad. Yeah, we love your week to week. It's so diverse, and obviously there's a lot of people in the audience that don't have that bandwidth, but what's good from it is that you're giving them so many different plays, and they're all research-based, right? So there's going to be a play for you from Dr. Crack almost every week that applies to your scenario, whether it's low, mid, or high-tier budget stuff. So good stuff there, Chad, and thanks for the breakdown as always. Let's head on over to Duke. Duke, who you buying? And then we're going to go straight back to you for who you're selling.
Yeah, I just want to say first, this is one of the reasons I love this show, getting the different perspectives. And if you're listening on a podcast, like you're hearing the audio but not the video, I encourage you guys who are listening to go watch the YouTube so you can see when Paul threw the chart up on the screen for market movers. Because I think what most people do at a card show when they're buying a card is they look at their apps and look at the last 3 comps, and you don't have any perspective. You don't have any 3, 6, 12-month perspective. And if you listen to this podcast, what Chad was saying last week about the NBA market, comparing it to like pre-COVID market, you need some even more historical perspective to truly understand how markets behave. Most people got into this. A lot of people got into this hobby at COVID or more recent, and that's all you know. You just know that period of time. And Chad was talking last week about how the NBA market performed and behaved before COVID in a normal time. And you've got this really interesting dynamic in this market of all these people coming to the hobby for the first time, but also we're in a really kind of down economy in a lot of respects, and it's probably going to be a down economy for a couple of years. So you're not going to have the froth in the hobby that you did in 2020, maybe in 2021. And so it takes you back to like the fundamentals of like how the market behaved prior. So I think that's cool. And like what Paul was showing the chart, if you're looking at the last 3 comps and that's the last 7 to 14 days, like you don't really know like the floor and the ceiling of what that card has done or could do. And then one more piece of context and perspective is how that player of that year compares against other players of that year, right? Comparing a 2018 quarterback or 2020 quarterback, you can see what can happen on the upside. And so I just want to throw that out there. The guys I'm buying. So Paul always talks about not trying to guess performance because you take that risk out of it. But that's exactly what I like to do. And I know I recognize that there's risk in that, but that's why I love this thing, man. I love to watch sports. I like to try to predict what's going to happen, and I put my money where my mouth is, and bet on the team or buy the player, buy the card. So guys, I'm buying Anthony Edwards. A lot of folks were down on the Timberwolves last year. They've come out hot. He's playing well. I watched an interview with Anthony Edwards recently about how he learned about Kobe's work ethic and how he thought he was working hard. But once he heard about Kobe's work ethic, he took his workouts to a whole nother level. And that got me really excited about him long term. And for them to then back that up with coming out, I think they're like 7-2, something like that, has got me excited about him. Shea, I'm still big on these guys I've talked about for the last few months: Ant-Man, Shea, Giannis, Tatum. Paolo, and then I just added Maxey to the list because you guys got me excited about Maxey. Football, I'm stashing. I think I've talked about this too. Stashing a few running backs that people aren't talking about at the moment. A-Chain for the Dolphins, Ty J. Spears for the Titans, and then Roshan for the Bears. I think a pretty obvious markers for all of them is when they get the lead in the backfield, they have a big game, a couple of touchdowns, 150 yards. Great, easy opportunities to sell those guys. I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth here when about my buying and then selling. I'm looking at the NFL now and thinking, okay, who's kind of hot now and might make a playoff run? And I'm really interested in the Lions. And it may be too late on these two guys, on Goff and Amon-Ra, but I just see I believe in them long term, whether it's this year or next year. I believe in the culture that the coach is building, and I believe in those guys to make a run, whether it's this year or next. And I just like those two guys right now. And then one more football player who's no one's talking about because they're talking about all the other rookie quarterbacks is Bryce Young. You know, he's had a really tough year. The team's had a tough year. That means that they're going to get a good draft pick. Because all the hype is with CJ and a little bit of Levis and even Anthony Richardson earlier in the year, everyone's kind of crapping on Bryce. He's the number one pick, so he's got tremendous draft capital. So he's just not going to get benched anytime soon. They're going to give him a chance to play this thing out. He's going to get better. He's a good kid, hard worker. Will he be a superstar? Don't know. But I think his prices are down because he's down. And finally, in baseball, I just regurgitate what Lefty tells me. So I've narrowed my focus to 4 guys: Holiday, Churio, Xavier Isaac, and James Wood. Just keeping it simple, right there.
I love it. I love it. I think that we would have a great time watching sporting events together, Duke. I really do. That's where, as someone that's getting into the hobby, I have a tough time because I am a massive player prop guy in the terms of sports betting. So when I look at sports cards, I naturally want to do the same thing, right? Like I want to look at who they're playing for the next 2 weeks. They have a 10-game, road trip, so it's probably going to be a guy I'm not looking to pick up because the odds of them, whatever it may be, those factors are what I love looking at. So I'm trying to, as I build my strategy, find a happy middle ground of I can predict player performance based on analytics, as well as take as much risk out of the equation as possible, like Paul likes to do. So I like where your head's at there. It's fun for me seeing where your picks are at because I think we think fairly similarly. Obviously, I'm much less knowledgeable about the hobby than you are, but I do like getting your feedback there. Excuse me. Let's go ahead and roll back over to Lefty and see who Lefty is selling.
Yeah, my sells of the week are pretty simple. I'm selling CJ Stroud again after he comes out and beats the Bengals. Here's my one caveat. I literally made a bulk play this week on CJ Stroud, and Paul said, he was your sell of the week. What are you doing? And I was like, yes, because if you do have CJ Stroud cards, he's a sell right now. But I think there are some end of the year like markers that we will also be able to make good profit on as well. And so I made a small bulk play with CJ Stroud, but this guy's a dog. Like you can see, he scores against the Bengals and throws up the OH, and he wants to put himself in tough situations to rise out of it. He's the guy similar to Zach Wilson with athleticism, but absolutely couldn't be more different with the decision making. The guy was just throwing all sorts of balls all over the field. That's a tough win. Like going out and beating Joe Burrow, that's tough, boys. Like absolutely incredible play. Such a fun game to watch. I sell Josh Dobbs again. I am a Josh Dobbs fan, but who would have thought he would have come into Minnesota and win 2 games? Oh, me. And because he is a intelligent quarterback. He's got the athleticism. He's shown that he can play not only from the SEC and forward, but he can do incredible things. I watched him play really, really well in the preseason for the Browns a couple of years ago, and I was like, wow, I've got to keep tabs on this guy. If he gets a starting chance, he could be a legit quarterback. But sell Josh Dobbs again. And then, all the sells that we've talked about going forward are projectable markers. I think the Ovechkin play is one I'm really, really looking forward to because it's a play that I kind of dream about. most of my hockey plays are huge. Like my ideas of hockey plays are like, I want to go big with hockey. Like I want to get an Opeachy or like an Ovechkin PSA 10 Young Guns. And I'm like, man, why do I want to buy like these really awesome hockey cards? Like I can't do anything but want to buy Connor McDavid. I don't even know how to not want to buy Connor McDavid. But so that's not a sell of the week, but I'm just saying, as I am being ambitious in that area, I'm cautioning people from buying something that you don't quite know or understand. And that's why I haven't bought Ovechkin yet, is because I don't watch hockey, and I've just got to be careful with buying in. Even though I believe in Chad's play, I don't want to make a stupid decision based on just if I know who he is. Like if I know who a hockey player is, it's me and Duke's wife. Like if we know who they are, then they're superstars. So that I got to be careful with the hockey plays.
I love it. Yeah, and I love this play from Chad too. It's a clear sell marker. But I am going to throw Chad on the spot real quick. And if you don't have an answer off the top of your head, no worries. I'll make sure to include one in the buys and sells of the week articles. But for people that maybe don't have the capital to invest such a high upfront investment in trying to pick up Ovechkin to make profits here, do you have any cards that are maybe more on the affordable end that you think will turn some serious profits?
Yeah, the Upper Deck Stars card. Upper Deck Future Stars card is a card that I've been watching that as well. Matter of fact, I bought one last week. I don't have it yet, or I'd hold it up and show it to you. PSA 10s are going for around $225, $250. I sniped one late at night and got one for $198. But that's a card that I could see, becoming a $400 or $500 card at the time that he breaks the record. So yeah, matter of fact, there's two Upper Deck rookie cards of his that are not Young Guns, and they both sell for that $200 to $300 range in a PSA 10.
Got it. Yeah, imagine saying the statement, if you're not ready to answer this question, that to Dr. Kraken, thinking that there's a possibility that he's not going to have a good answer there. So good stuff there, Chad. Who are you selling right now?
So for selling, I already got Paul mad at me. I'm going to get Lefty mad at me. Actually, Paul's not mad at me. We're just having a good fun debate. But anyways, Deshaun Watson.
I'm not mad at you.
I haven't even said what I'm going to say yet.
I don't care.
Deshaun Watson, his cards got a decent bump this last week with him coming back, and then the huge comeback win that they've got. I do not believe in Deshaun Watson or the Browns. Sorry, Lefty.
No, neither do I. It's fine.
This is fool's gold. The Browns right now are flying high. They should have never won that game. Somehow they did. Congrats to the Browns. I don't dislike the Browns. Their defense is incredible. But sell while you can on Deshaun Watson. I just don't know if he's going to finish, if he's going to get another injury, if the Browns are going to tank. If you really want to play Deshaun Watson, wait till the offseason and buy then. But right now, take advantage and sell. The other one is Owen Power. Owen Power Hockey Young Guns PSA 10. It's up 152% in the last 14 days. So I would sell. There's another hockey sell for you. If you have any Owen Power Young Guns PSA 10, sell them now. Anytime you get a spike that's 150%, doesn't matter what the card is, sell. And I would also consider right now strongly selling Dak Prescott after his monster game yesterday.
And CD Lamb. Come on now.
And CD Lamb. Those are two guys right now that are flying high. And after having McCarthy be a Packer coach for so many years, I've already looked into the future and I can read the script. Dallas chokes in the playoffs. Thank you, Mike McCarthy.
Love it, Chad. Yeah. Yours and Duke's last two responses is sometimes I wish I had the ability to do what the Around the Horn host does, where I can just upvote you guys over and over. So a ton of good stuff there from you guys. We might have to look into adding some sort of similar feature so I can just light them up whenever I'm hearing good stuff. But good value for the audience there. Let's go ahead and listen to who Paul is selling, if anyone. And then after that, I'm going to play Paul's W of the week and spark a little bit of debate amongst the guys, see what Chad has to rebuttal with. And then after that, we will hop into the audience Q&A. So if you have any questions for us, make sure to drop them in the comments and we will try to get to them at the end of the show. But for now, Paul, who are you selling, if anyone?
Yo, so you heard Lefty say it on last week's show. It is buying season. So I'm actually not selling anyone right now. I'm kind of sitting back in the cut and analyzing data and figuring out who I want to buy next and when I want to buy them. So stay tuned for that. But since I've got a little bit of time here, I'm going to sell you on a few things. I'm going to sell you on going back and listening to the Wednesday Deep Dive Sports Card Strategy Show with Kendall and Connor. It was phenomenal. Lefty and Connor did an amazing job. It was one of the best sports card podcasts I've ever listened to in my life. So you got to go back and listen to that. That's going to be every Wednesday. So get pumped for that. Dr. Crack Chad Guell has his Wednesday deep dive coming up here in just 2 days. So I'm excited to see what he and Connor cook up on that show. I'm also going to sell you on Sports Card School. You got to go to sportscardschool.com because we've been dropping lessons. I promised that we'd be dropping lessons in November. We are into November and we've got some lessons dropped. So go check out Sports Card School at nooffseason.com. And if you're not already a premium member, go get your free 30-day trial at nooffseason.com. Check out Sports Card School. Check out all of our premium content there behind the paid wall. Get a 30-day preview of it. Hopefully you'll stay renewed for a year and get your premium pack. Everybody, thank you so much for bearing with me while I've been out of town the last couple of weeks. I'm excited to rejoin you guys on Monday, November 20th. We've got some big things in store here at the Sports Card Strategy Show, part of the nooffseason.com Sports Card Network. Quick shout out to our guys on the network, Duke Denny One Time, Dodson, and Graybo's Giblets. We've got Andy at Football Card Quest. Check out footballcardquest.com for more great content there. And then I'm also going to sell you on one more, Gary Underwood at hoopsandcards.com. Go check out Gary. He did a great interview with our very own Dr. Crack Chad Guell. So go check that out. Everybody, thanks so much for having me on the show. Have a great day. Back to you, Connor.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul. A bunch of shameless plugs there. I love it. We're happy to have you as a part of the No Offseason Network, Duke. So let's go ahead and play Paul's W of the week. It's a little bit of a breakdown to his basketball auctions that he started on opening night of the season. And then we'll go ahead and get some feedback from the boys on where they're standing.
Hey guys, my W of the week are basketball auctions that started on opening night, October 25th, and ended in 10-day auctions on Friday, November 3rd. This was a brilliant strategy because you get the benefit of listing them during a high interest level in NBA, essentially on the debut of Victor Wembanyama on October 25th, but also the full slate of games, really. The technically tip-off of the NBA season was on October 24th. I chose to wait until the full slate the next day on Wednesday, October 25th, to get the benefit of massive amounts of eBay searches during the NBA tip-off. I would call it a hype rise in interest. This is piggybacking off of my L of the week where I was talking about my selling strategy. These are all cards that I had bought at a low point throughout the summer. After last NBA season, my strategy was to list everything literally during this 10-day period. All basketball cards were listed starting on October 25th, and they ended on Friday, November 3rd. So it gave me the benefit of essentially not only the full weekend slate of NBA games, but also into the second week and into the second Friday of NBA games. And so one guy that I listed one day later was Cam Thomas, 2021 Panini Impeccable Rookie Patch Auto on card, auto out of 99. So it is his rookie card. And you can see here that I sold it for $300. There were 10 bids. The auction ended Saturday. That would have been November 4th. I bought this for $70 at the National. And when we go to view the order details, it'll give you the breakdown of the cost essentially associated with this sale. So when we look at the total order earnings off of the $300 sale, it is a total order earnings of $257.19. That is a profit for me on that. And if you subtract the $70 investment that I made in the card, you have a total profit of $187.19. That, my friends, is how you execute a basketball strategy. You don't buy guys like Cam Thomas right now in November when he's playing well and dropping 40 pieces. You buy him in the offseason when no one's paying attention to him, nobody cares about him, and then you sell him during the 40 piece. So don't be tempted by Cam Thomas right now. What you got to do is follow my strategy and liquidate when you see a big performance. So another win example is a Tyrese Maxey 2020 Panini Origins rookie auto. Purple, first off the line out of 49, PSA 9. So now this might be where people like Dr. Crack and others are cringing because I'm selling the card when everyone else is apparently buying Tyrese Maxey. I realize that there are deals on Tyrese Maxey right now because we talked about that pocket during my L of the week where right now the cards have declined. But this is an example of how quickly things move in the sports card market, in the micro markets. And I have already liquidated because, again, I listed this upon a high interest level on opening night of October 25th, set to end in a 10-day auction at another high interest level of a Friday night, November 3rd. The auction ended Friday, 18 bids, sold this Tyrese Maxey, which I bought for around $75 for $203.76. Now, I did have it graded at PSA, so there was a $19 investment into that card, and the total order earnings of $175.12, giving me a net profit of, you would have $80 some. So while you could disagree with me and say, hey, you should have held that card, I am eliminating all risk here. I'm eliminating all risk. I'm taking the profit. I knew what I was doing when I bought this card. I knew that I would sell it at this time. Could it go up in value? Absolutely. It could really go to the moon, but could it also go down in value? Absolutely. You could be faced with injuries. You could be faced with performance issues. You could be faced with just simply a lack of interest for months and months and months. So rather than have my money tied up in that, I liquidated it. My third example, where people might be thinking that I'm crazy, but I'm winning, is this Shai Gilgeous-Alexander 2018 Panini Prism Red, White, and Blue PSA 10. I bought this at the National for $100. I sold it for $152.50 on 15 bids. Auctions ending during the same time frame that I've already articulated to you. When you look at the order details, you see a total order earnings profit of $131.30. Essentially, I netted $31.30 on this SGA play. So while that is not a massive win, and while this card could continue to go up, again, my strategy is to eliminate those risks. I knew that I was buying this card in a dip. I knew that I would sell it literally during the tip-off week of NBA season. I'm not playing the same game Dr. Crack's playing. I'm not going back to the well on NBA cards right now, even though they're low. Stay tuned for my buys of the week to see where I'm going. All right, Connor, back to you.
All right, a lot to unpack there. I am glad that we gave Paul a chance to get his get back and give his breakdown and show his exact metrics on the W's that he's been making in terms of selling these cards early in the season. But Chad, let's go ahead and get your feedback, and then we're going to go around the horn and see what Lefty and Duke have to say. And I've got a little bit of feedback as well. So go ahead, Dr. Crack.
Well, Paul's not wrong in the sense that he's making profits, and if you're making profits, that's the name of the game, right? That Origins PSA 9, the fact he made a profit on that, congrats to him. That's Origins, first of all, is not a card I would buy. Then a PSA 9 is not a card I would keep. So he made $80. That's awesome. I think that's a great play. If you can buy, so Paul's strategy is one of, if you can buy it cheap enough, you can make money on it. And that's not wrong. It's not bad. It's just not fun. There's no fun or excitement in trying to be. I'm a collector flipper, right? I have a personal collection. I love watching sports. I love buying a card and hoping that like Duke was talking about. You have a little bit of a vested interest and hopes. I'm a huge Kentucky fan, so I buy huge into Kentucky players, SGA, Maxey, quickly, Carl Anthony Towns, Devin Booker. I mean, the list goes on and on, of course, because Kentucky's awesome. But anyways, so you can certainly do that. Paul's not wrong, but Paul's scolding of me giving a blanket statement was actually 100% spot on. I should not have made a blanket statement because he's right. There are multiple ways to do it, and his way is working for him. It's not 2 years ago I would have followed that, or even a year ago I would have followed that. It's just this year the market seems different. It seems more like it was originally. So for all you Star Wars geeks out there, I'm gonna put this like Paul is Ben Kenobi and I am Anakin Skywalker. Anakin did not always follow Ben Kenobi very well, but Anakin was very good at what he did. So that's my Star Wars analogy for those that want to take that and run with it. But both of us are right, and it's just a matter of how you want to do it.
Lefty, where are you sitting at in the rivalry that we're building on selling basketball cards and the right time to do it?
Yeah, I think I find myself emotionally where Chad's at, and that's not typically where you want to be when you're an investor, emotionally involved. So I think I agree with Paul, but like I also agree with Chad, which is I know that's not what you I know that's not what you wanted, but at the same time, I'm sitting here thinking there are plays to be made. Okay, I can see the two things. We see a collector on one side, Mr. Kenobi, or I'm not good with Star Wars references, to be fair, but we've got him on one side collecting and trying to get cards he likes. And I can just tell you, because this is a quote from Paul, he doesn't like anything but money. And so it doesn't matter who the player is as long as he's making green. I mean, he made a video to show a $30 win on an SGA card. So, like that's – I like money too, but I also love watching sports. I mean, I'm a Josh Dobbs fan right here. I've been loving what he's doing in Minnesota, but I'm not buying him right now either. So it's like I'm going to just defer. You can downvote me in your little beep,
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, that's a lot of them there, Lefty. We're going to Duke. Duke, where are you sitting on the debate?
I think I'm going to answer a different question because I think it needs to be
downvoted for you too.
So I think we all make this mistake. We all do it, including me. So I'm not pointing fingers. We all make the mistake. I've heard us all say it, including me. I was in it for this, so I sold it for this. Like I booked a winner. And that's fine. And people say you don't go broke booking winners. That's true. But here's the thing is you're going to have losers. And so you also need to think about maximizing your wins. What I mean is that I think it's way easier to say, what am I in this for? I can sell it for more, sell it, right? I think it takes more discipline and a little more heart to ask the question, would I buy this card today or would I sell this card today? And if you have a card that even if you can make a profit on it, would you buy it today? Like, is it on your buy list? And if so, you have it. So why sell it? People in our shop all the time, somebody will text me and say, what are we in this for? I got an offer on it. And what are we in this for? And I keep trying to tell them it doesn't matter. And well, of course it matters. Well, it really doesn't matter because you have it, whether you paid $1 for it or $10 for it. What is the value today? And would you buy it today at that number? And we get arguments all the time in my shop about it. And it's so much easier to think I bought it for $8. I'm gonna sell it for $12. Well, what like a harder question is, what would I pay for this card today? And take Mark, do I want this card for the next year? And to think about it that way, because if you minimize your wins, and then you're sitting there on the flip side saying, I can't sell this card because I'm in it for 10, the market's at 7, I don't want to take a loss. But what if you think it's going to go down more? Like, why hold it till it goes down to 4 just so you don't book a loser? You see what I'm saying? Like, I think that's a better question to ask. And so I see Paul's argument and I see Dr. Crack's argument, and I think we're asking the wrong question. The right question is, do I want to buy this card today? If so, I already have it. Let's keep it. Or no, I don't want to own this card. I wouldn't buy this card today. Well, let's sell it at today's value. We think it's going to go down.
I love it, Duke. I'm going to give you like that yellow color there in the middle because you deferred from the question, but you gave good feedback there. So it's a good point. Yeah. I think, and my answer actually kind of differs too. So I might need to get dinged as well, but it kind of was like, I think it goes back to the right card at the right time, right? I essentially think you could be using both strategies just depending on who the card is at the right time. Like Paul just sold SGA to make profits, and Lefty's looking at buying them. It depends on the card. It depends on the timing. So I'm kind of sitting in the middle. And then to kind of parallel off what Duke is saying in terms of looking at mitigating risk by being willing to take the loss, I'm going to make like a sports card or a sports betting parallel. And it's something that I always take into account anytime I have the ability to cash out. So for any of you guys that aren't familiar listening wise with sports betting, if let's pretend like you've made a bet in 3/4 of the game through the game, it looks like it's just an absolute lock to hit. A lot of times these sports betting platforms will give you the option to cash out. So pretend like you invested $10 and you win 20. They'll pay you $15 to take your money and run. So that just to see who wants to run. I am a big proponent of the cash out, and here's why. And I think this might lend me towards rolling with Paul's side for debate purposes because I want to mitigate my risk. And the way that I've always looked at it is if I could cash out for $15 from that $10, or I could wait and try to make 20, would I right now make that same bet placing $15 to win 5, right? It just doesn't make sense to me to add that extra risk. I'm going to take my 50% profit and run to the next area. So I think if I have these cards and the season's approaching and they're up, my goal would be to get rid of them and then look to reinvest elsewhere in cards that are lower. So I think that's a great debate there. Go ahead, Chad. What you got for me?
Well, no, you guys, we're all making good points. We're just having a little bit of fun and debating here. Paul hasn't, I mean, I'd have to go back and look. I don't think Paul's had a loss on a card in months. So kind of hard to argue with his side or his camp. He hasn't had a card loss in months. I just talked about a dumb Pokemon play that I did because I was doing something new and fun and interesting. And that's how I learn. That's how I learn. You know, that's how I've gathered the knowledge that I have. I take risks. I'm a risk taker. I have the portfolio that allows me to take risks. When I win, I can win huge. But I have a loss almost every single week for this show to share in my misery with everybody. When was the last time Paul had a loss? June? July? May? I don't even know. I can't remember the last time Paul had a loss. So Paul is making some very good strategical pinpoint accuracy. Yeah. Low risk plays, and he's winning. So that's what makes this show fun is we have 4 or 5 or 6, 7 different people with our guests that come on here. We all have different ways of doing it. Some of us have a little more risk. Some have a little less risk. Make money. That's what this show is about. Flip, find it out. If there you go, Denny. If you have a very low risk tolerance. So if I'm just starting out in the card space and I have $200, and when my $200 is gone, I'm either out of cards or I have to borrow money from somebody, right? I'm going to take a very low risk play to try and make that 200 grow. When I first started out, I wanted to take some very low risk plays because I needed the bankroll to grow. As the bankroll gets greater and you're okay with taking a loss here or there for that chance to hit the home run, you do it.
Yeah, I love it, Chad. I love it. It goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like there's so many different ways that you can make money doing this hobby. And Chad, you've been doing it for so long in so many different ways. And I think your bandwidth is great because you have like you're saying, you have the cash flow and you have the inventory to make the amount of plays that you're making, which gives a lot of insight to our listeners of different plays that you can be making and different guidelines you could be looking at to build your strategies there. So I love it there, Chad. Let's go ahead and hop in to our audience Q&A and get some of these questions answered from you guys. So let's start off with Justin Stewart. For Q&A, got about $300 in Topps buyback, hoping that Ohtani and Acuna win. What would you put the $300 towards? Lefty, what are you thinking here, buddy?
Jackson Holiday.
Jackson Holiday. Yep. Same spot for you, Chad?
No. Well, I mean, Holiday's not a wrong play, but what I did with my Topps buyback last year and what I'm doing with my Topps buyback cards this year, when I cash them in, I am going to do the same thing I did last year, and I'm going to use that money in the hobby shop to buy Bowman Draft. I'm going to go hunting and fishing for the next Jackson Holiday. Last year,
Yeah, that's fair.
Last year I used Bowman Draft and I pulled an LE Mojo Refractor first, sent it into PSA, got a 10, and during the hype last year I flipped it for $350. So my Topps Chrome buyback play, which was 2 Aaron Judge cards for $40. I bought a blaster box, hit the LE, and it turned into $350. So I'm going to, again, defer to the little bit more fun route than the safe route, which Jackson Holiday is a great safe play. I'm going to go with the Bowman Draft and go hunting a little bit.
Good stuff there, gentlemen.
You're going to take your free profits to gamble a little bit.
Exactly.
I love it. Let's head over to Dell Duncan. If you were to buy one or a few boxes under $200 for Christmas, what is the best rip for value? P.S. I collect the big 3 sports. Lefty and Chad, I know both of you guys touched on this during our Overflow show. Duke, I'm curious to see what you think here in terms of value for getting boxes under $200. If you have any thoughts,
I love Dell's.
I would buy Jackson Holiday. Is that an option? No, like I would just say think about trying to buy hobby versus retail. I mean, I know not everybody understands that at the lower end of the market. Like the bigger box you get of that particular product, trying to get a little better value. So whatever under $200 hobby boxes you can get would be my suggestion.
Yeah, I like it. What about you, Lefty?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you're going to be able to get any boxes of hobbies under $200, realistically. That's a good question.
Like certainly not baseball, right? Like the baseball stuff you're going to get bigger. Like I don't know, like what NBA hoops. Maybe
Can I be specific with this answer?
Yeah.
I would buy one box for $200. I would buy a 2017 Optic Basketball Mega Box. You get 40 cards in it. You got a chance for some huge 2017 rookies. The last 2 years, I've bought those boxes for my kids to rip. I have never gotten less than the $200 value out of the. That is my go-to favorite box. If I have to get value back out of the box, I'm going to the $200 2017 Optic Mega Box.
Love it, Chad. Love it. Hope that helps you there, Dell Duncan 4. We're going to keep rolling. Looks like a lot of our questions today are baseball related. So Lefty, this one's going to come your way. From Building Time Machine. First time catching the live show. We are glad that you could tune in this morning with us, sir. For Bowman products with first, what's the thoughts on SPs without the first on the card? Example, Bowman Draft, Jackson Holiday doesn't have the first on SP, but in first set. Lefty's pretty familiar with picking up Jackson Holidays that don't have the first on it. So what are you thinking here, Lefty?
Connor. What a zinger. Ding ding. Upvote that one. Yeah, short prints. I don't love I know, so typically in outside of baseball, short prints and super short prints are very popular, especially for sets that are already have people in the major leagues. For instance, Topps Update and things like this. I don't necessarily invest often in short prints because I think they're hard to convince people that they're real. Like, you have the set collectors out there and you have the people that are really knowledgeable in terms of the checklist, but then most people are just like, okay, cool, it's a short print. It looks like it's not a short print when there's 15 of them online, and so I just stay away from short prints. It feels like a gimmicky sale to me. I'm just going to invest in what I know, and I'm going to buy the Bowman first autos and stuff like that.
Yeah, good stuff there, Lefty.
Chad might have a different take on that.
I was curious to see what Chad has to say here, and Duke, feel free to chime in whenever you'd like. I know that you've been following Lefty's strategies a little bit in terms of what you're picking up for baseball, but definitely don't let me leave you out of any feedback you have here, because it's definitely valuable.
I think in the Bowman realm, I would stick to the first. In a Topps Chrome realm, I would stick to the short prints. So it depends on the product. I love short prints and Topps products. The Bowman products, the first will outsell the short prints every day of the week. So Bowman, stick to first. Topps, love the short prints.
Yeah, I would just say that, like, at the shop, when we get burnt all the time is new product comes out, people rip it, they come to the shop to sell it. We're buying it at some percentage of today's comp, and then a month later it's half the value. That does not happen though in like Bowman First Autos. Like, Bowman First Autos are forever, right? And then what Chad is saying is probably right, case by case. Like, I just tell my folks at the shop, just be careful buying the newest product, whatever short print or whatever insert or parallel. Just think about it. Like, look at last year's product of that exact same car. Are people buying it? Do people care? If so, great, buy it. If not, just pass or be real cautious on what you pay for it.
Yeah, good stuff there, Duke. Did you have something to add, Lefty?
No,
I thought I saw you moving.
No, that's a good point by what Duke's saying. It is the shop perspective needs to be the perspective that we take when we are bringing in cards as well.
Cool. Rounding off the show, we got another baseball question. We'll get Chad's answer first, if he knows the name. I don't recognize the name personally. Colton Cowser. Questions from Trevor Beagle. Colton Cowser. Is he worth investing in right now? I know he's not on the baseball card rankings, but his prices seem low. Do we see him making the starting roster coming out of spring training, I'm guessing?
Yeah, Colton Cowser's he's an interesting player. He plays for the, he's this absolutely stacked and loaded Baltimore franchise. I think there could be plays to be made for Cowser. He's not super high on my list if I'm going with Orioles. There's Orioles that I like better, Kobe Mayo or Jackson Holiday. The problem, part of the thing that we saw last year with Elly De La Cruz, if you remember in June and July, everybody was asking us the questions, is Elly so big that he is dwarfing the rest? None of these other cards seem to be getting the hype like they normally do. Well, I got news for everybody. Jackson Holiday is equal or greater than Elly De La Cruz. So you have to be careful how far down this list you want to go with your plays on baseball, because I think when Holiday comes up, I think he could have the same type of offensive tear that Elly De La Cruz had. Even guys, and I'm going to warn this, even guys like James Wood and Jackson Churio might get dwarfed a little bit, like Cards did with Elly De La Cruz. Jackson Holiday is huge, and he has the ability to be a he has the ability to be a Mike Trout type, putting up ridiculous WAR totals and home runs and batting averages. I love me some Jackson Churio. You guys know that how many cards I told you I've been collecting of Churio. The only thing I had alluded that the only thing that I could do to lose money would be as if Churio got hurt and didn't get called up. The other slight thing that I'm worried about is that the holiday train is so large, like Ellie De La Cruz's was, that some of these other plays might be the shine might come off the ball a little bit. So to go for a Cowser, although I like him, I think there's money to be had there. I would stick to somebody that's higher up the list, unless you can get it so cheap that you just know you can't, to take a Paul to buy it so cheap in the offseason that you can't lose money on it, then go for it.
Yeah, I love it, Chad. Anything to add there, Lefty?
Well, the reason, yes, Colton Cowser, the reason why he's not on our list, he probably would have been 6 to 10 months ago. The reason why he's not on there is we don't have very many people that have already made their MLB debut, and he's logged 26 games at the MLB level. And to be honest, just had a tough go. His first cup of coffee up at the major league level. The thing that benefits me long term for Cowser is he is going to be on a team that's electric with young studs, and he's going to be another guy in that young stud department that's going to do really well for Baltimore Orioles. I mean, we saw the Baltimore Orioles have one of the best records in baseball, and their team isn't even fully ready to compete yet. Like, this team is going to be very good for a long time. And Cowser, what benefits him is he's not going to have to compete for a position in the infield, which is where this team is going to get really stuck. People are going to get stuck behind Jackson, and they're going to get stuck behind Henderson, and they're, Mayo. They're going to get stuck behind some of these guys. This guy plays in the outfield. So Cowser will be fine. He's dominated at every minor league level. I mean, he destroyed at several of them. And so Cowser is a good name, but his MLB name has already been up there. So yeah, I do feel like he could be a good buy, but I think what Chad's saying is it's a marginal play. It's one that if we talk about our Flyers, heroes, and goats, he's on the flyer section for me right now, not because of his ability, but because of his market share on this lineup that's going to be very deep.
You compare him to Junior Caminero, who I think has a shot at potential rookie of the year this year if he, figures this out. Caminero's the only player that, if I'm not mistaken, that's had a sip of water from the big leagues that's on our rankings.
There's
and
Matt Mervis is on there too.
Mervis is on there too.
And Evan Carter.
Okay. So we have a few, and to Lefty's point, Cowser's a good player, but it's a flyer. So if you can get a Cowser Bowman Chrome first auto in that $50 or less range, I say go for it.
I view him very similarly to Evan Carter, actually, where he's an incredible player, a lot of good projectables, as a guy that could make a decent and even good career out of what he's got going on. But his markers are behind us.
Yeah, I think there's just way more stable assets to invest in that have the same upside from the baseball rankings. Even guys at similar prices that are within the top 15 that Lefty has listed there. So good stuff. But I think that's going to do it for us today, gentlemen. Let's get your closing thoughts. What you got for me, Duke? Any closing thoughts as we move into the week of sports?
I just always enjoy my time with you guys. Appreciate you guys having me on. I think I've contributed all I can today. My brain is empty.
Yeah, a bunch of good stuff from Duke. We love having you here, man. What you got for me, Lefty? Closing thoughts?
Man, I'm excited about Tyrese Maxey. I think he's a guy that it's rare that you have a guy in a buy, sell, and hold, depending on where your scenario is. So go Tyrese. And, of course, he plays for Chad's favorite team.
Dr. Crack, what you got before we wrap it up?
I'm going to say to everybody listening to be patient. I know that this is the time of year where we've made the statement that now is buying season. There are sells to be had Watch for sell alerts, but they're selling to be done right now as well. I don't know if that qualifies for a blanket statement for Paul. But anyways, enough shots at Paul. Just be patient. The buying season for baseball is typically after Thanksgiving. So you're talking December into early first or second week of January. Typically your true buying season kicks off on Thanksgiving Day and runs through Christmas. The day before, or the 23rd or the 24th of December are two of the best buying days of the year, because focus is elsewhere. People are not focusing on the card hobby. They're focusing on their families and Christmas and family get-togethers and all that kind of stuff. So be patient. There are lots of great days coming, and just be ready when those days are here.
Words of wisdom from Dr. Crack to round out the show. Good stuff today, gentlemen. I enjoyed my time with you. Looks like Paul will be back next week, so I do not need to be talking as much as I did today. Appreciated my time with you guys as always. And with that being said, let's let Paul take it away.
Thank you all for watching and listening to the Sports Card Strategy Show. I'm Paul Hickey with NoOffSeason.com. Don't forget to get your free 30-day trial at NoOffSeason.com today, and you can get great information to help you build your sports card investment portfolio, as well as take classes at Sports Card School, sportscardschool.com. Don't forget to text Sports Cards to 1-833-992-5727 to get your sell alerts and your buy alerts. Also, we would love it if you leave us a positive review on Apple or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Paul Hickey. Thanks for being part of the NoOffSeason.com family. Have a great day.